Hi everyone, it's Roger here from what's on DisneyPlus.com, a quick video review of Raya and the Last Dragon. But before we get into any of that, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. So Raya and the Last Dragon is coming to cinemas and Disney Plus Premier Access on March the 5th. It's going to be priced at $29.99 and you might be wondering if it is worth it checking out. So I have just finished it and I'm going to be honest, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It was a great action adventure fantasy movie. You know, Raya is a full-blown warrior. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's got to do, and she's going to travel through 5 kingdoms to put together a load of pieces together of a crystal, which when brought together will help sort of basically get rid of these creatures that are floating around the kingdom, turning everybody into stone, including her father, and she was in charge of kind of looking after all of this, and it kind of went badly wrong. And so you got the 5 different kingdoms, and one of them set like in the desert, one's on like sort of a town on the stilts, and then you've got one in a sort of a forest. So they all look very differently, and that's the key thing with this movie. It looks stunning. It's easily the best and most beautiful movie I've seen from Disney. The background sets are amazing. So many scenes from this movie just took me back to being in Southeast China when I was backpacking, and it just brought back all of that. The soundtrack kind of is just there in the background, just it's not, you don't notice it, it's just pulling on it all the time, and I really enjoyed it. There's no big singing moments, there's none of that here. This is not your traditional princess movie. This is an action adventure movie, and I'm sure kids are going to love it because they're going to want to be Raya, and I think boys are going to love it because she's such a great character. I think girls are just going to want to be Raya. I think parents are going to enjoy it as well. Now there are some aspects to it which are a little bit kind of cliche. You know, the whole idea of going around, collecting all the pieces together in different lands, then coming together and then having to kind of face off against a sort of a baddie and sort of save everyone. You know, we know what's going to happen, and it kind of sometimes felt a little bit like a video game in terms of that's what you have to do. But it all kind of works out in the end. It's very fast paced. Lots of different characters get introduced on the way. Lots of little weird and wacky sidekicks, which are going to make you laugh, going to make you especially just chuckle at some of them. You know, the animals all look very cute, very lovely. I'm going to be honest, the humans sometimes don't necessarily match up because they're not really cute, and then they're not beautiful, like stunning, like you would expect from the background. So there's a little bit there. That's the only thing I would maybe say is some of the humans don't necessarily look great, but I thought Raya herself looks fantastic. One of the things I loved about this movie was the style that they used for dragons, because it's very much based on Asian mythology, and so therefore they're elongated dragons, and they're kind of wise and smart, and they're funny. Not the traditional dragons that we're used to in the West, which kind of are more like dinosaurs that breathe fire and are usually the villains. So they're very different from that. And again, a lot of this kind of pulled on aspects of stuff I've seen while I've been out traveling around Asia. So I think that really helped me, and really helped me sort of look at this movie very differently. But I just really enjoyed it. I definitely think it's worth it if you've got a family. If you're going to be watching it loads and loads of times over and over, it's going to be worth doing it, because you can have access on Disney Plus for about 3 months, or you can head to the cinema if it's open and you feel safe, or in an area where you don't have those problems that you have to worry about, then maybe go to the cinema and see it on the big screen. I'm really glad to be able to watch it at home in my pajamas. I think that's definitely a cool way of watching it. And for me, you know, with a couple of us watching it, it was, you know, more bearable in terms of if you're going to be paying for it. Now, there is a little bit pricey. It will be coming to Disney Plus for free if you want to wait until June. And if you are on the fence, maybe you've watched the trailer or you're not too sure, I would say just hold out, wait and see what everyone's saying, and you know how it ties in, because that's the key thing. You know, it's not a cheap movie. If it was half the price, it would be a much more easy recommendation. But I'm very much aware that that is a lot of money for a lot of people. If you can afford it, I definitely think you should watch it. It's easily one of the best animated movies I've seen in a while. I much preferred it over Soul, which came to Disney Plus at Christmas. But I really enjoyed Mulan, and a lot of the things that I loved about the Mulan movie that came out last year, which I paid for, this Raya movie had much of that in there as well, the same kind of style and how they were doing it, but I do think there was a little bit of difference. So the trouble is with Mulan is people were comparing it to the original one, whereas Raya's kind of on its own and it can do something different. I love the fact that it's just not your typical princess movie. There's no big singing, and it is just straight up action fantasy where they're just going from kingdom to kingdom, putting all these stones together to try and save everyone. It looks beautiful. I really can't recommend it enough. I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5. 5. Definitely worth checking out. But let me know in the comments below if you're going to be watching Raya and the Last Dragon on Disney Plus, or if you're going to be heading to cinemas, or if you're going to be waiting. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow and subscribe. Also a huge thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and also on our YouTube channel memberships. And I shall see you guys in another video. Laters.